Rhaenyra is in a room choosing a husband for herself and she is not impressed with the prospects. A kid from Blackwoods is up next, but when he's giving his speech, Bracken keeps on insulting the kid. When Rhaenyra was ready to move on to the next candidate, Bracken insulted the kid again. The kid pulls out his sword to start a battle with Bracken and the kid wins the battle. On the other side, Rhaenyra isn't having it, so she leaves the ridiculous room. When they were sailing back home, Daemon was riding his dragon too close to the boat, causing it to sway too quickly, knocking everyone down on the boat. In the Great Hall, everyone is waiting for Daemon to present himself to the king after he defeated the crab feeders. When Daemon walks up to Viserys, the King's Guard pull out their swords to stop him from coming closer. Viserys takes the crown and hugs his brother for winning the battle. At the banquet, Rhaenyra tries to get into a conversation with them, but Viserys is mad at Rhaenyra for leaving earlier, so he brushes her off. Alicent tried to comfort Rhaenyra, but she roasted Alicent's situation by having to pump out heirs for the king. Later on, Rhaenyra wonders why Daemon came back, but he likes the comfort of home. They talk about marriage and how she doesn't want to be like her mother who died giving birth. In the council meeting, Otto talks about Lord Corlys negotiating with the Sea Lord of Braavos about wedding Laena, her daughter, to the Sea Lord's son. If that is the case, they would also need to make a marriage pact with Lord Corlys. When Rhaenyra returns to her room, she finds a bag with old clothes and a note showing her a secret path to the outside. She changes and heads out to meet Daemon while he brings her out to see the outside of the castle. They watch a play, but Rhaenyra isn't impressed because the folks want Aegon to be the heir. Rhaenyra tries some food without paying the vendor and runs off afterwards. She runs into Sir Howyn and he lets her go after seeing Daemon. They go into a brothel and Rhaenyra walks past people who are taking pleasure in banging each other. They start kissing each other, but after a bit, Daemon pulls away and leaves. When Rhaenyra is looking for Daemon, she is spotted by a boy who follows her. Rhaenyra rushes back to her room, but Sir Criston is concerned about her well-being, so when he is about to alert the Lord Commander, she comes out to lead him in to kiss him. Then they slowly take off his armor to continue the passionate love-making. Later on, the boy who followed Rhaenyra reports the incident to Otto. The next morning, Otto reports this to Viserys and he thinks it's a lie, but Otto promises him that it is real because it was his spy. This pisses Viserys off that Otto would spy on Rhaenyra and kicks him out. Alicent hears about it and asks Rhaenyra if it's true or not. Rhaenyra brushes the accusation off, but this causes a rift between their friendship. When Daemon goes back to the castle, he is apprehended by the King's Guard to be brought to Viserys. Viserys questions Daemon about the accusation, but Daemon doesn't deny the claims and brings up about their younger selves when they would be plowing whatever they can get their hands on. This pisses off Viserys because he cares about Rhaenyra's future. Daemon doesn't care because he is the king and he can do whatever he wants. Daemon offers to take Rhaenyra as a wife after giving up the crown, but Viserys sends Daemon back to the Vale to his lawful wife so he doesn't have to deal with Daemon anymore. Back in the king's chamber, Alicent defends Rhaenyra's innocence, but Viserys doesn't think Rhaenyra is innocent. Rhaenyra is escorted to Viserys and he tells her the backstory of the blade. The message is about the Chosen One, and this trumps over everything else. They argue about the rumor, but they will both have to suffer because of her actions. She thinks he's removing her as the heir, but he is just making her wed Sir Laenor Velaryon. Rhaenyra believes Otto is compromised because of his grandson Aegon. She agreed to the marriage as the heir, but wants Viserys to do his job too. Otto is called to the council, while Viserys fires him as the hand because he is compromised. Later, Rhaenyra is forced to drink a tea from Viserys that would rid of her bad decisions. Lady Rhea goes out hunting, but on the way back she runs into Daemon and assumes he's going to kill her. When she notices, Daemon flips the horse, causing Rhea to fall and paralyzes her. She criticizes him for not being able to finish the job, so Daemon takes a rock to finish her. Viserys and Rhaenyra sails to Driftmark to meet with Lord Corlys so they can talk about a marriage between Sir Laenor and Rhaenyra. Before Lord Corlys agrees, he wants to know how the succession will be handled. Viserys plans to make the firstborn child from Rhaenyra to inherit the throne from her, and their child will take their father's name until the firstborn ascends to the throne and will take the Targaryen name. Lord Corlys agrees to the conditions while Rhaenyra and Laenor talks about their future marriage. Otto is about to leave, but Alicent wants him to stay. He blames her for siding with Rhaenyra, but Otto is doing this for Aegon because when Viserys dies, a war will break out if Rhaenyra is the heir. Lord Larys sees Alicent staring at the tree, so he tries to console her while stirring up problems with Alicent and Rhaenyra's friendship. Once the marriage talk are done, they sail back, and Sir Criston asks Rhaenyra to elope with him. Ultimately, she declines the offer because she will be crowned the throne. He breaks down after hearing her decision and walks off because he doesn't want to hear her excuses. When they arrive back, Alicent calls for Sir Criston to ask him about Rhaenyra's matter, and he admits that they have done it. He pleads for a clean death, but Alicent just lets him go. We jump to Rhaenyra's wedding celebration, and a bunch of lords are congratulating her, and Lord Corlys's family arrives. Once their introduction was done, Daemon walks in like a savage and gets everyone's attention on him. Viserys starts a speech but gets interrupted by Alicent coming in late, and he continues to announce the wedding after the interruption. After the speech, Rhaenyra starts a dance party, and Daemon catches Laena Velaryon looking at him. Daemon would join the dance floor to pull Rhaenyra to the middle of the crowd to talk to her about taking her for himself. On the other side, Joffrey would find Rhaenyra's lover, and he would talk about it with Sir Criston, which triggered him. This causes them to fight, but Sir Criston would beat Joffrey to death. After the feast, Rhaenyra and Laenor would have their marriage ceremony. On the other side, Sir Criston was going to self-delete, but Alicent stops him from doing so. We skip to when Rhaenyra is giving birth to a baby boy, and Laenor is helping Rhaenyra walk to Alicent's chamber because she demands to see the newborn. When she arrives, she takes a seat while Viserys holds his grandson, and Laenor would name the baby Joffrey. She goes back to her room where Sir Howyn is waiting with Rhaenyra's children. They give each other a weird look, and I assume they're hitting it off. The kids want to look at the baby, but Laenor tells them to train at the Dragon's Pit. At the Dragon's Pit, Jacaerys, aka Jace, tells Vermax to heal and then uses fire breath on the goat. Once that's over, Aegon and the others troll Aemon by giving him a pig as a dragon because his never hatched. Alicent finds out about the bullying and confronts Aegon about it. Also, if Rhaenyra gets a throne, he's dead because he's the firstborn son. On the other side, Daemon flies with Laena on their dragons. And at night, they feast with Prince Reggio, who offers some resources while they protect the land. Laena isn't fond of the offer because she wants to inherit Driftmark and have her children raised there. Later on, Laena is giving birth, but she is having issues pushing the baby out. The doctor goes to Daemon to get permission to do a C-section, but Laena goes out to get Vhagar to take her out of the misery. Daemon goes after her to see Vhagar burn her to death. At the castle, Sir Criston is training the kids, but has Aegon and Aemon versus him. The two boys is no match for Sir Criston, but Howyn criticizes Sir Criston for having favorites. So Sir Criston has the two oldest fight each other. With Aegon's size, he is able to knock Jace down, but Jace fights back after Aegon turns around. Howyn gives Jace tips, but during the duel, Sir Criston coaches Aegon to dominate Jace. Once the battle is over, Sir Criston said something to trigger Howyn, so he starts beating Sir Criston. The guards pull him off, and Howyn gets roasted by his father later on. In Rhaenyra's room, a drunken Laenor barges in with Qarl. Laenor wants to go to the battlefield, but Rhaenyra tells him to stay because a storm is brewing. At the council meeting, whatever topic was brought up, Alicent and Rhaenyra would butt heads. Before they end the meeting, Rhaenyra offers to wed Jace with Alicent's daughter, Helaena, and an egg for Aemon to fix their relationship. Suddenly, Rhaenyra starts lactating, so that lets Alicent brush the subject off. Viserys thinks it's a great idea, but Alicent is against it. Later, Lionel tries to resign from being the hand to the king because of the incident with Howyn, but Viserys won't let him. So Lionel asks to return back to Harrenhal to make Howyn perform the heir's duties. Alicent meets Lord Larys at her room to talk about Lionel and not having supporters. After the talk, Larys goes to the dungeons to free some prisoners as long as they agree to what he proposed. The next day, Howyn gives his goodbyes to his children and sets out for Harrenhal. After, Rhaenyra tells Laenor that they will be heading to Dragonstone to avoid the incoming storm because Alicent struck down the offer Rhaenyra brought up. Later that night at Harrenhal, someone started a fire in the building with Howyn and Lionel inside, causing them to be burnt to death. Well, that's it for part 2 of House of the Dragon. If you enjoyed the recap, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.